Everyone, this is my third demonstration video. In this video, I am going to explain about the technical part uh, of integrating the PayPal APIs that are basically create order and capture order API. And I am going to explain uh, how we can call the APIs that create order API and capture order API by the Java Spring Boot applications. So basically, it is a coding part only. I have already coded that the part of calling APIs, and I am going to explain line by line what I am going to integrate, how I am going to integrate, what are the methods, what are the classes I have used to call the APIs. So in this video, basically, I am going to explain all these things. So, and I have also prepared this create order API analysis, that what are the headers parameters, what are the body parameters, why we need that, is it optional or mandatory. So I have already uh, make a chart, make a sheet of all the required parameters, and in this I have written the description of every field, and required means it is optional or mandatory, and data source means the fields where we have to provide from our side. Basically, our side means we are working on a PayPal provider service bus. As we know, we have three microservices. Like first one is validating service, second one is processing service, PayPal processing service, and the third one is PayPal provider service. That PayPal provider service is going to uh, contact with or integrate with PayPal system. Basically, from here we are going to call the PayPal APIs. So, data source means where the data is coming from, or e-commerce client, or the processing microservices coming from processing microservice, or we have to provide the data. So, this sheet I have already prepared, and I'm going to explain this as well. So, now let's check the coding part. So basically, we know that to call every API, or any API, sorry, of PayPal, firstly we have to get the token, the authorization. So firstly, we have to get the authorization token. That is basically a barrier token. So for that, we have to call the auth API. Basically, the PayPal system having the auth 2.0 security. So we have to call the barrier token for that. And for calling every API, we have to pass that specific token, that generated token. So that generated token also have some criteria, that like it is only accessible or valid till 8 hours to 9 hours. For that, we have to again generate the access token, then pass it. So let's start from here. Like this is my first create order API. I'm going to have coded already. So I'm going to explain it, how I code, what are the methods I use, what are the um, classes I have used. So let's check it out, and started from this, like post mapping and create order. So create order means in this controller, basically it is a method of a controller. This is a payment controller, and here it is a method create order controller. So in this controller, the some request is coming, so the some data is coming from the processing service, and some data we have to provide. Then merging both the datas and both the fields, we are going to send them to a one request object which is provided to PayPal create order API. Basically, the create order API also wants some parameters like this. Let me explain like this here. Developer. Okay. Here it is the REST API section. I'm going to so what are the parameters that I have written here also in this sheet also, that are some header parameters, that are authorizations and content type, PayPal request ID, and these are the body requests. So I have written already, but let me show you in a JSON format. In this, let's orders and create order. So like this is the request section, or we can request JSON format. So these are the requests. Firstly, we have to provide this API, and then in response, it is going to provide like this. So after understanding and analyzing all the fields, we have to conclude that like here, one more thing. Okay. So firstly, we are getting the request object from processing service or anywhere that is provided by processing service or e-commerce client. Firstly, we have to convert this into Pojo class. Means typically the request Pojo means the request is coming into directly Pojo, and we can't this Pojo object to our internal working or internal section of our services. So we have to create, it is a mandatory or it is very important that we should not pass the Pojo object to the internal section of our project or of our services. It is not a good practice. It is like when there is some miscellaneous things coming along with the Pojo, then it is going to messed up with our internal services. So we have to create that corresponding DTO object of that Pojo object. DTO means data transfer object. Means we have to create the data transfer object. Like the Pojo object is coming, and like the fields we have converted into the Pojo object like this. I'm going to show, oh sorry, uh, here Pojos. Okay. So these are the Pojo objects, and we are going to convert these all Pojo, matlab these all fields into object and converted into DTO object. Here is the section of DTO, and like this, create order DTO. I think it is okay. Same. So we have created it, the corresponding DTO object, and then this DTO object we are going to pass into our internal services like controller to service, service to another service, and this DTO object only uh, we have to pass only is valid, or I can't say valid. We should pass only in internal layers except DAO layer. For DAO layer, we have to create another object called entity object. Like we know that in GAPA we have to create the corresponding class for internally working on the queries. So that is an entity object. But for internally controller to service, service to another service, like we for that we have to only pass the DTO objects. So here we firstly get the Pojo object like this. This PayPal provider object request body we are in captured into a this PayPal provider create order request object, and this PayPal provider create object is converted into DTO class by the use of model mapper class. So model mapper, we are used model mapper for converting objects, one objects into another object. It is automatically copied the one object to another. We don't have to try it manually. Like first we create the another class, then the same fields we are going to define in that DTO class. So it is quite a lengthy part. So for that easiness, we are using model mapper. Basically, it just converts the object into another object. This can be used to convert DTO. into Pojo and vice versa, like Pojo into DTO and other objects like some other we have when we are going to call the external microservices we are going to call. I will explain it later. So basically here I have created this okay converted into DTO object. Now this DTO object I am going to call into pass into sorry I am going to pass into the service layer, basically where we are handling all the business logics. So it is a good practice that we should not pass the Pojo object. We create the corresponding DTO object and then we pass that DTO object, and in the response when the DTO object provided by the service layer, and now we have to response the object, then it should converted into again Pojo. We can't pass the DTO object into response. So we have to create the again Pojo object. So typically here is this we are created. So it is like a dummy part or POC types of code. Basically the main code which is going to start from here itself. So again here I am coded some access token also. Okay. That is from uh, service layer only. Okay. So let's get into this create order. Okay. So payment service. Oh, sorry. Okay. And F3 like this. And F3. So this is my interface. Basically, firstly, we have to create the interface and then we implement that interface into our IMPL here. So this is our service layer. In this layer only, we are going to write the business logic for creating the APIs. Sorry, integrating the APIs. So now, uh, let me explain about this section. So here we are getting the first like here access token. As you can see here, we are getting some access token string. Like we directly get the access token. We have written some logic and some coding part that gives us the access token. We know that for calling the APIs, we have to pass the access token. Then only we are eligible or authorized person to call that specific APIs. Now for that, mm, firstly, I'm going to explain about the how we get the access token. Simply, I can say that how we get this access token. So for that, let's see what I have coded. So as we can see here, we have written a simple create order method here also, because for every for every API, we have to get the access token first, then we have to pass this. And after that, the API successfully called. So now let's check or see how we get this access token. So here it is the access token. I have defined a private token service. I have created a class called token service. Okay. And this token service class returns me. And in this token service class, we call the get access token object. And this access token object returns us in the string. Basically, the string or the main part of the access token, some length of a string. I'm going to run this also and see whether it is coming or not. So firstly we are going to understand what I have coded, then I'm going to run it. So for that, let's go into this token service class and this. So basically, in Spring Boot application, which we are working on, and for calling the APIs, there are some standard and there are some rules. So there are some basically inbuilt provided methods or classes which we can use and call that any specific APIs. So in our case, we are using REST template class which provides some inbuilt methods and some inbuilt parameters in which we are just going to pass the headers and the request body part, and it is simply uh, 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 call the API and provide us the response of corresponding API. So in this section, we have created this class into a service class because we know that this token service is implemented for everywhere, or we have to use this class everywhere when we are going to call some API. So I have created this token service class into uh, the main package of service. Not in the no, it is not the part of the implemented package or as well as interface package. Okay, so I have created into a specific means main package of service dot service package. Thank you, Prince. So let's check it out. What I have coded here. Let me explain it. So it is a constructor part, means typically it is a auto wiring part. I am getting the two objects of HTTP client util and JSON. I'm going to explain it also. So let's check further. Access token. This access token we called from the service layer service impl.java, and this when we call this method, it simply returns us the string. So here it is all the logic. Every time when we are calling some APIs, and for that we have to get the access token. We just want to call this method of service token class, means get access token method of token service class, and it simply returns us the access token. Simple as that. Now, let me here for this, as I say before, we are going to use the REST template. So I'm going to quite pause this part and just jump into the HTTP util class, because for this we have to firstly understand what is the HTTP client util class I have created for calling the APIs. So let's get into that, and F3. Okay. So here it is the main part, means whenever for every API or any API, when we have to call that API by using REST template, we just want to call this method, make HTTP request method of the HTTP client util class. Just simple. Like that, whenever we are going to call any API, we just want to uh, make the call of HTTP request and pass some parameters which is required, like the header part for every API and the body part for every API. And after calling that, we just get the response. This gives us the response entity. Basically, response entity is a part of error handling, which is explained, which we know as already that it's provides us some statuses, it provides us some inbuilt errors we can throw manually, or it can throw us when the some flow disturb in the coding part. So let's check what is the make HTTP request methods. Firstly, let's understand this. So simply, it wants the some parameter called the HTTP request object. So for calling this, we have to pass this HTTP request object. Let's check what is HTTP request objects. Okay, so basically there is only four fields or attributes I am going to explain it one by one. The firstly is the string URL. String means the URL of API. Every API when we have to call, obviously we have to know the API, sorry, API URL. So the first part is the string URL means, sorry, wait, so okay. So the first string URL means the URL of API. The second one is HTTP method. Basically means what is the method of that API. Like it is a post method, it is a get method, it is a patch method, it is a delete method. Mm, Basically, we have to pass this also. And the third one is the request object, means the request payload, like this part, this part. It is a header part, and this is the body part, means here from here it is start the body part, like this from here till here, this, sorry, here till here only, here till, sorry, here till, okay, it is not like this, from here to here, okay, let's let's okay, from here to here. So this is basically the body, and we know that we are going to provide this in JSON only, so we have to pass this also. So this part we have to provide, and with the object, let we have to create the specific object of whole the request body part, and then we have to pass, and there are some headers, like headers means in this header only we have to provide the access token. Secondly, the content type, let's check here, header, okay, I can see here only there are three headers: authorization, content type, and request payload. Means these the request payload means the PayPal request ID, which is basically optional, not mandatory. But main two things are the first barrier token, which is the access token, and second one is the content type. Content type means what are the request body, what is the format of request body. That basically we as we already seen that is it is a application slash JSON only. So let's understand here. Okay, we already know these four parameters, and it is wrapped into a one object called HTTP request, and we have to pass this object. We have to set these parameters, then pass this object to call any specific API. So now let's go to our here only, and for making this HTTP object, we have to pass like four things here. Entity, the four things are REST template, as I told you earlier that we are going to use the REST template. So in there is a method called exchange method in which we are going to pass all the things. Basically, it wrapped into a HTTP object only, and it is one by one getting the string back. Sorry, response back. Simple. Okay. So let's move further. So we have understand the how we call the API. Okay, so let's cut it, and let's cut it this also. Basically, we have to explain this part. Okay, so for access token, we have to provide some credentials like client secret and client ID, and we have to set this method as post. And we are here. We are going. We are setting the URL of uh, auth URL, okay, which is basically we have I have made it from like constant. I have created some constant and uh, constant data and the dynamic data also. Like here, we get this URL and client secret and client ID. We have to also pass this, and the constant like auth grant type and auth grant credentials. We have it is constant, so we make it constant and pass it and just call the API, and in response it provides us some the JSON body, and with this it provides some the default body part also. So extracting the main body part, we use the response.get body, means simply it returns the main part or main string, JSON string, which we have to going to use. And for extracting the token part only, firstly we have to convert this uh, JSON string into corresponding JSON object. And for converting, we here we use the JSON library, and simply it has the method from JSON, and we have to pass this like token response. Let's check where is the token response. Token response, okay, in HTTP, like here. Sorry, in PayPal. Token response, okay. So we are getting this much of information after calling the token. So basically, but we are required only this part, get access token. So after converting, we are just returning we are accessing only the token part, like get access token. And just I'm after this we I successfully passed this string only, that is the main part of the access token, and we use further. So understand this all now, okay. After this, let's check it out. We got the access token. Now comes the main thing. The main thing is this. We have to call the create order API. Now we got the access token successfully. Just the next thing, basically the target is to call the create order API and the capture order API. So first let's create the create order API. Call the create order API. So for create order API, it is some hard code. I have written hard coding also because it is not a main, or it is not a main code. Not I can say that main code. It is just POC type. We have to configure it like the hard coding. We have to remove and uh, define some constants in constant part, and define some dynamic in the properties file. So basically, it's just a mm, practice purpose or understanding purpose how we can call the API, create order API. So the first part from here it is a start, and from here, okay. This is the main part, main business logical part to create the call the create order API. Now, okay, as we know, for calling any API, we have to get the URL. So this is the URL of create order API, and we have to again set all the HTTP request fields, set the HTTP request fields, and pass it to HTTP make HTTP request method. Okay, like this. So firstly, we have to get this part. We have to get this part. So for that, we have created the object of HTTP request, and firstly we set the URL. Here we get the URL and set it into HTTP request object. Second, we set the method. Basically, it is a post method to set the second method. Then we have to set the headers. So in headers, we have to set some things like the barrier auth and the content type. Both things we have successfully set here also, that it is JSON, application underscore JSON type. We know that, and second one is the access token. Now, the main third part is the request body part. Means we have to provide this much data here. This request body, this all the data to the create order API. So it is a huge, like it has some 10 to 12 fields. So for that, I simply just created uh, I simply just created one class, and let me show you my class PayPal order request. Here PayPal order request. Let me check. Okay, in request part, PayPal order request. This basically this is the all fields. Like in this there are some multiple values, means in JSON there is another object, like it is a nested JSON string. So I have already created, and in this file I have provided some hard coding which I'm going to remove further. But now, as I say, it's just checking purpose. So I provide the hard coding like the URLs and the basically fields that I have analyzed through this. That what is it is working, why we need this, what are its um, uh, replicates, like what we have to use in our specific uh, project and want some specific output only. So I have analysis this also, and for that I have create this corresponding object. So I have set it here, which are I have removed this hard coding further. Now let's check. Okay, here. So we just pass this payload as I see request PayPal order request object into and set it into this only, like HTTP header, sorry, HTTP request object. So we have to pass two things, a header and sorry, I have to pass only one thing, like first request payload, and the second one is create order. In this request payload, we have to get the create PayPal request, create PayPal order request. This is the method I am going to call this method. This method provides all the fields, corresponding fields of request body. So I have created this and set into the the third one. Okay, setting into this. I have set request. I have set it. Okay, and the last part is I have set the header also. So four things that requires HTTP requests I have successfully uh, set it, and just the last thing calling the HTTP request this and pass the object. In response, I got the response. I am going to show you that what are the response I get, and the same thing which earlier I have did in the part of auth API, because it gives us some extra default part also. So extracting the main part from this response, we get the get body part only. Then this get body part into convert into the corresponding object. I have created the object. I can show you here the create order response, in response, like PayPal in response, create order response. Okay, this is the response I get, and I have to get the only three things, the ID, because the main three things I have only the ID and the status. Status is the pair action required, and the third one is the URL, which the user going to approve the payment. So after getting this, created the JSON into corresponding object and extracting only the three fields, as I can see get ID, get stated, and get the link, because we have got the two links in response, but we are going to use only the second one, which is the pair action required, means the user going to approve the payment from that link. So again, and then in the reference, I am going to return the order. So let's demonstrate it. We understand well. Now let's demonstrate this part. So I'm going to run this and calling this, sorry, okay, as auto add model mapper for converting DTO into this, and one only payment service, that is the service layer object. Okay. So let's check. I'm going to call this API by this URL. By this URL, I'm going to pass, and let's check. I have got the create order IDs. Firstly, I have to check whether I am going to get the access token or not. And the second one is I have got the three main parameters. Like first one is the three main parameters, that is the ID, status, and the URL. So main purpose of calling this API, the four purpose. We have to successfully get the access token. Second, we have to get the successfully ID. Third, we have to get the status, and the fourth, the link. The action link, okay, payment action link. So let's call. I'm going to use the postman again, and like create order demo. Okay, I have this also by default that I have worked on this. So I have uh, created call this API earlier also. So I've written it here like v1 slash PayPal slash order. Okay, it is like the same. Let's call this API. The method is post. Let's check the here it is the method is also post, the post mapping, and just call this API. Okay. So firstly I have to run this run Spring Boot app. Okay. Okay, started. Let's do some magic here. Okay. Now I'm going to call this. Okay, this is the default parameters I have to pass. It is also like for checking purpose. This, but it is nothing to relate with for now. Nothing to relate with the calling of create order API, which I did. It's just a dummy part to call this API. Like for uh, this we have to pass which converted, but after calling because I have already hard coded in the request object, create order request object earlier. So it's just a dummy part. So don't be confused. So it is nothing to relate with. Okay, let's call this and let's get the response. Okay, successfully we get this. This is not a dummy part or this is not the hard coded. This is the actual response getting from after creating API. Okay, for that I am going to show you this also. The link is working or not. I'm going to demonstrate this also. Let's check what is the loggers we get. We are going to get the correct logger or not. So it started from here. Firstly, Pojo is created, then converted into DTO. Okay. Then order created in service layer, which is also like a dummy part. Now the main access token is null. So getting it is like we have coded if the access token is available. So we are not going to call again it if it return the available access token. Now, here it is the HTTP client util. Means this is the method, this is the part where we have get the first access token. Okay, making HTTP call. Here we pass the auth API, method post, grant type, grant credentials, and www.form unlen coded. Okay, so we have successfully passed this. We got the response we got the response in token service. We got the response body. Okay, we have token the body part only. Okay, now the main token token response as object. The main token is this. Okay, this is the main token we get successfully. Then got the token in service layer. Now returning already access token again. We are called now the HTTP request. Okay, here. Again, we are going to like we got the access token like I have already coded earlier. We got the access token, and after calling the access token, we are calling the create order. Okay, got the response. Getting create order create. Okay, create order. We get the response pair action required as you can we can see here, and this is the corresponding ID. Let's check the ID is same like 41Y, and here we get 41Y. Okay, it is right. Pair action required. We got the link, and the main again the purpose converted into DT object we get and converted into POJ object. Simple. So let's check it is working or not. Let's check. Sorry. Remove this. Don't save it. I'm going to the use. Oh, sorry. I'm going to extract this, copy, then let's open here this paste. Okay. So we got the PayPal. I'm not going to log in and uh, mm, check the approve the payment because it's just for demonstration only. I'm going to simply use the PayPal here. Okay. So let's check, we got the response, and secondly, we successfully called the create order API. Now we have to call the second one is capture order API. Let's go to the controller, and this is the method of capture order. Okay, same thing. Firstly, we have to approve the payment. Then we have to call the capture order. For that, the processing service or the e-commerce client should provide us this specific ID, means that ID, this ID we have to get from the request. Then this ID is going to processed here, and for that I am not created the Pojo object for single field. So, but the mandatory I should we should create the DTO. So I have created the DTO, set this into ID, into set ID part of a DTO object, and calling the payment service capture order. Let's go to the payment service, okay, payment service IMPL, okay, this is the second create order called create order capture order API code. We got the DTO object, fetch the string from DTO object, again URL of capture. We have to pass the ID in the URL itself, like this. In capture I have demonstrated you here, like this. This is the URL, and the same URL I have written. Because the ID is dynamically, so I provide it here in the form of variable. And again, create same part, HTTP request, created object successfully, set the first field URL, set the second field method, set the third field the barrier token and the content type. The fourth one is the set request body part. In this create auto capture order, there is no body for it, so I have provided it null. It is default null. So for better understanding, I have written it here and setting the headers. Okay. Now again, simply calling the make HTTP request, pass the HTTP, make the HTTP request and pass the HTTP request object, and got the response here. Then extract same thing, just because the default some extra part also in response we got. So as extracting the main body, and after that converted into same, because every time we got the big response, but we only want to capture two, three things in that response. So for that, we have to convert it into object, and simply we got that specific response. We have what I want is getting from the field of that corresponding Java object. So it is a better practice to create response uh, Java object capture order response. Here I have created capture order response. It is, sorry, it is not a capture order DTO. Here it is capture order response. Okay, it is a big response. You can see it is a very big response, but I have to get only one thing, means the status, it is completed or not. So it is simple to create the object and get the status only. Okay, so let's go here, service, sorry, either, and we got the response converted and get the status only. Okay, wait, all right, it is working fine. Let's check it. So get the status only. Now for capture order, we have to approve the payment first for demonstrating. So here we got the successful loggers, that we got the token, we got the three things. My main the three things is this ID, status, and link. We got this successfully. I'm going to copy this link from here, which I have already copied, so nothing to worry. Okay, I have to enter here. Let me go to my developer, not developer, dashboard. Okay, this dashboard. I have to get the credentials first. Let me log in. Um, Testing tools, sandbox account. Okay, in the second one, let's check. Here, my balance is 4,300. Let me copy this and paste it here. Again, let me copy this password, paste it here, login. Okay, hi John, let me approve the payment. Okay, we have successfully got the return URL means the payment is approved. Let's check it is approved or not. Create order. Let's check this. It is approved or not in simply by Postman show order API. Sorry, okay. Paste it here. It should come approve. Oh, sorry, invalid access token. Oh, okay, we have to get the access token. Okay, I'm going to pass this access token only. Where is the access token? Access token. Okay, here it is the access token. Let me pass this access token. Copy and paste. Send. It should come being approved. Okay, intent is capture. So payment is approved. Let me capture. For capture, let me pass this. You okay? Focus here. Oh, sorry, undo this. Okay. I'm going, it is this ID is approved, means the user approved successfully, and I'm going to capture through my Java code paste. Okay. Now I am going to, sorry, I have to uh, set the token also. Authorized. Okay, for create order, no access token. Let me check. Okay. Can copy it from here. Access token copy, capture order, authorization, capture order, barrier auth. Oh, it is a capture order, but this is not like this. Okay. Why it is taking ID and password? Let me check. Okay, capture order. The order is got. Let me call the capture order. In headers, not barrier auth, is barrier token. Sorry. Copy then paste. Okay, all set. And I am going to call now. Let me clear this. Let me clear this for understanding purpose. Now I am going to call this the second API, that is the capture order API. The URL is same because we are following the REST standards. So just we are going to call this API. Oh, one thing is missing. I have to return here capture also, but I'm going to modify after this. Okay. So one thing is missing. Now I got that there should be capture. So for checking purpose, I'm not return this capture. So let's call this. Okay. And we should get here the response status which we got after calling the capture order API. Okay, we got the response. The response is completed. It is not a default. It is the status which we got from the payments pay service layer. And here we got the status as completed. And let's check here also. It is give us completed or not. It is approved here. Let me call. We should get the completed. Okay, we successfully get the completed. Means I've coded the API successfully, both API successfully, and without any error, without any exception, we successfully get the ID, get the URL, get the status, and captured it also. And the payments was completed. Let me check the payment is detected here or not. Here, okay, here it is 4300. It should be 4200, and it is 4200. Okay, we have successfully called. Let me cross, minimize it. Okay, and let me modify it here. here should be slash capture, and I have to copy and paste it here like this. and Paste. Okay, double sorry. Now it is okay. It's fresh. So this is my overall demonstration or the technical part. Uh, Created calling both the APIs successfully. Thank you so much.